It's October 31st, 2020. So, um, Nora slept over last night, my parents' house. I was supposed to go out with them this morning, but, she and the drug addict, Tiafrio, took my son, who the last time the two of them were together, my son got molested by her son. So it's a little problem. She's got a court order, Steve, whatever. But yet somehow dickhead Tiafrio 1975 thinks it's okay to just take my son to out of whatever places. It's a real fucking problem when you give shitheads and mannequins that are like SI, AI, right? Like any kind of paperwork, because then they think, but see, he also has probation, he has a DUI, and he no longer has a car or vehicle because of said, but he's also on probation. But yet some court idiot in the lower court judicial system didn't look up my son's actual law guardianship, that I'm a U.S. Justice Supreme, and they're not allowed to assign custodial rights to anybody other than myself for any of my children. Jason Peter Romer, they did the same fucking thing. This is a problem, United States of America and state of New York and the supreme idiots at every fucking level. So let's go back for a second to my 7th grade, whatever fucking year that is. I don't fucking know. Ask some shitbag in New York State school. What year do you enter 7th grade? Great. That fucking year when it pertains to me. And on my junior high schedule, during the day, I had at Cold Spring Harbor Junior High School, which is attached to the high school, a partial period of photography. I don't have, like, I mean, I got along with people but I don't get touchy-feely, and I don't, really give a shit what they were all up to. Like, I wasn't planning on having life friends from there. So, I just was an auxiliary that was stuck in a human mannequin system, and the mannequins walking around while they left me alone, and they were pleasant, smelled nice, they were white, and they were well dressed. I really had no affinity for any of them. So I was on my schedule, it said half the year was photography, so I showed up in a dark room, and we developed film. Apparently, it turns out when if a semester's like 12 weeks, the first 6 weeks I was there. Oh my God. And I was the only one in the class. Imagine that. And then everybody else was enjoying home economics, where you bake muffins and you sew felt and whatnot for a full 12 weeks, right? I don't know what happened to the other kids did we pause them like in Humanville while I was on special assignment? I don't know. I interned at the photography department for the FBI when I was just inside. I mean, I walked into the 6-week extra special aviation pass they had to make a hole in a locker system that then no longer existed from the 1940s, 1930s, 40s, all the way to 1980, 90 something. Oh my God, there was a dark room there. Yeah, it just, whatever. We have a special ministry letter. We don't really have to explain how that happened. Right, so I walk in the dark room, right, and I have one really nice professor guy who he's Alabaster, Alabaster. He's like, listen, he's like, I don't know. He's like, I would never know, how much do I have to tell you? How much are they telling you? He's like, do you know where Russland is? And I'm like, no. And he's like, where did you just come from? I was like, whatever class I had before this. I just walked down the hallway. They said this was the direction and the door would be down there. If I just looked for this little sign that said dark room, that would be where photography was being held. And he was like, oh, He's like, so you just went through the door and you were here? I was like, yeah, it's that door right there. And he's like, right, no. He's like, okay, good point. He's like, so you don't know, but do you know what Alabaster? See, right, am I family Alabaster? Am I Air Force Alabaster? I don't, level, right, okay, so he's like, all right, so here, now they told me that you had taken photography once before, and I'm like, I don't remember taking photography, no. And he's like, right, yeah, but sometimes you have problems with your memory. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And he's like, didn't you go to like a camp or something, like at a day camp when, like over the summer? I was like, actually, you know what, I might have. I was like, but you're going to have to teach me again because I really don't remember the vocabulary or the words. And this seems like, I don't know which water is for what, but there seems to be a lot of bins, and I don't, and I don't know what they mean. So if you could just quickly go over like a review for me, I'd appreciate it. He's like, well, a review, or do you want me to teach you? And I was like, well, teaching me would be great. I was like, but I don't know if you were expecting me to have already known when I walked in, which I don't. And sometimes they get angry when you ask them to teach you something that they expect you to already know. So I don't really know what to say, right? And he's like, right, okay. So whatever the bins, BINS, were, they had some fluid, FLUID, in them. He told me the names of them so quickly, like my ear heard, and I'm sure that Etch caught the paper version of diction and fiction, but I don't remember. I mean, from what I can remember, there was a conditioner or a condition. Then in the next one, you had to put it in an acetone. I think he called it acetone base, which was some form of an acid that ate through some of the conditioner, or there was a lift, it had an uplift, something. It was a process, he said. I'm like, okay. Then the next one was a toner, which was a different kind of base, or acetone base. They maybe spelled it differently. Or a different word. I can't really remember 100%. But that one lifted or toned down some of the whatever. I mean, it was like tuning a dial on a radio to get just the right frequency. Like you lift up, then you tone down, and then all of a sudden, like the brown color or the sepia then becomes like either bright black and white spectrum with a range of gray in the middle, or depending on the condition and the conditioner and the process, it could be sepia, which is more of a brown hue to the visual spectrum palette that the eye picks up. It was a little harder to tell whether it was going to be brown or black in a red light room, which is what they called the dark room, DARKROOM, for the film, when you had the special Kodak paper, KODACK. Now, here's an interesting thing for my FBI and my CIA friends. Kodak was a bear. Kodiak bear is in Russia, Siberia, somewhere around, like, I think by the time you get to parts of Siberia, though, it was more polar bear, I believe, right? But in other parts of, they said Russland. They said, let's do this. You're Russia, and this is Russland, because I know you don't know what the map is anyway. I don't have a map for you, so we'll just use a word map. I'm like, okay. He's like, brown or sepia Kodak bears are one type of furry mammalian. Okay. He said, and the white fur is more of like a brilliant color, but they're if they're on snow, they kind of melt into, it's not as brilliant. They look more yellow to the white, right? And I'm like, true, okay. So now the Kodak bear was a Russland alma mater, like for Alabaster, it's alma mater. They had, like in my day, it's mascot, MASCOT in American English. Like when you have a high school mascot and they're like, yay, team, right? Okay, but then the problem is that something in the Fuji, FUJI, part of nobody could figure out, made some deal with Kodak, nobody knows how, on the surface, for some relationship with some special paper and some special chemical process that had to do with the most hidden MIG rig alabaster pearly shiny white center. Right. So, right. See, he's like, well, you're going to need to know these things because this has to do with your family. And I'm like, right, which family is that? Because I'm pretty sure, like, I woke up to mannequins that when they open their mouths, they're not me, and there's nothing that I would bet my life on with them, ever. I know that if my life was in total peril and danger, I could not rely on them to save me whatsoever. So I am on my own, and that's why I appreciate darkroom time in the middle of a school day when nobody else knows where we really are in McAfee. All right, so let's think about this. All right, so we've got the okay, so now here's the other thing. Some of the acetone in the base, oh my goodness, they were supposed to be in special service in Kingdom in militarized lockup. Now, they started disappearing en route, supposedly, the story goes, and then they're like, well, now, what other fanciful ideas, right? And then there was like a meth, METH. They do call them meth heads with no teeth that burn the stuff. Base heads, BASEHEADS. But that's not like I got a dog tag and I'm wear a uniform. No, well, I mean, it could be, but no. It's usually I am running around in the streets in my underwear with no teeth, and they want to put me down like a rabid animal. That's what effects it has, right? But I think the reason why we came up with a code word. We said, let's call it hydrogen, HYDROGEN, for the missing VATS, VATS of chemicals, because the Fuji Kodak mergence of, I didn't approve this, and neither did anybody in my ministry, they knew better. The film, FILM, was a barrier we used to have to keep chemicals in lockup for only darkroom development. Then it turned, and then that way there was no outside laboratory. The FBI, the interior FBI, could develop the photos for the ministry for investigations and process the kingdom business within one facility. And it was mostly secure because if any of the satellite people outside of the secured facility that everybody lived on found out about anything, they found out which leak it was and then killed the entire, oh my god, look at that. Right, so that's how they made sure nothing got off base. Right, now I don't understand how outside the city lines of secured base facility about my Alabaster family, and my Pearl, and making sure my one position was not put in peril ever. Oh, no, I'm at 15, damn it. So I don't understand how that got into a Fuji position with some foreign symbols on a box of consumer, like just the regular people, just the everyday, whatever they're called, like mannequins, right? Yeah, they were able to now buy and take photos themselves. There were chemical processes in drugstores that were on everybody's corner. Like, this is a real problem because those chemicals are nuclear bound and are able to process in a nuclear fission really fucking fast. The G-force people on the funny machines that then, like, right, they're using it for rockets to get their stupid asses off the ground into, like, nobody gives a shit territory. Wow, you humans are really fucking wonderful. Don't ask me why we're not keeping any of you really smart guys. So now I'm curious, since I really don't care about any of the business office details, nor the families involved that made shitloads of money and caused real big fucking breaches of security and problems and are untrustworthy up and down and sideways. Right, those, like, millions, I X out. Next, haven't met them, haven't seen them, they haven't been helpful, so, guess we didn't need them. We're holding on to way too many people that think they're just untouchable. So now let's just think about this for a second. Just me, you, and whatever job function you might work. Let's think. That's the photos, right? Why we didn't want them out in everyday territory, why we told them they couldn't have it, but I know, we keep everything to ourselves. With good reason, stupid. We don't fucking trust you in Mannequinville, and then you threaten us in real person, and you poof the Alabaster. Like, it used to be, you had to be under serious investigation. You had to be really good at your FBI, like, interior position in Russland. Then you put in a special requisite and said that you discovered something, and you needed to take a meeting with the Pearl herself. And then it was a schedulized system, and then I would go for recording purposes into the mainframe, and then I would distribute task and security lockdown from there. How did we lose that system? How did I get pulled into an American position in the state of New York, trapped in a life I fucking hate, while the world falls apart and my system is breached every moment that I am fucking stuck looking like one of the fucking mannequins? Just curious, anyone who works for the mannequin service at, like, Alabaster and protecting the one Pearl level. Since photography in a dark room no longer exists for Alexander the Great, nor for Antonucci, the Cat Scratch Third, all under wrong assumption name for a Phi-CATTARUZZA Alabaster Center Pearl problem that nobody has been able to solve, fix, or requisite properly? Is it because I'm not being brought back into mainframe that you are now all of a sudden immobilized? Well, how do I mobilize you and set you all free since I'm out in the fucking Fidelis where I fucking hate to be around mannequins? The ones that are like, it's all about me! Oh, it's all about... Yeah, I don't do all about fucking me. So I don't know. What do you fucking want? Yeah, I'll leave.